Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to kill him.
Is that a jeweler named Duke recently got killed. And the story's really messed up. So I want you to talk about what happened.
Though they were from a crime film. Crimson Street Dice danced on the velvet table. They both grinned. But only one man would go with air in his chest. It was hardly a quiet departure for jeweler Duke. You lack funds. He checked out of this world as there were hunters everywhere. A dark cloud regarding mob ties is now hovering over the scene. The federal agents are locked and loaded. Duke was not the typical victim. He was not ignorant of it on the rear streets soon after he left Boosie's dice game. This happened, leaving with individuals who gave him daps 1 minute and murmured at him the next. They are the same faces, now sweating in the federal heat. 50 Cent is also out there stepping up the music, dropping hints, and teasing a plot twist that is much more complex than anyone could have predicted in real life. Everything is currently developing like a crime drama. Before Takeoff's disastrous departure, 2 weeks before, there were striking similarities between the dice game Duke was playing and AJ Prince Jr. setup. And when the wrong guy starts building up victories, everything falls apart at present. The inner ring of mob tie is being closely observed. Muzi Lil Camino managed to slide by J. Prince Jr. once. What were the first murmurs? It is now official paperwork. How, though, did it come to this? As we go back in time, something that seemed like a chill, it is possible that the dice game was a smiling trap from the start. At first glance, Duke the Jeweler seemed to be living the dream. Raised in Chicago, he built his enterprise from the ground up and did it alone. And it wasn't just random individuals fighting for power that he was chaining. This man was making luxury pieces for actual power players in the major leagues, not just to impress on social media. He didn't only flex when he was in Houston. That was discuss money in a serious way. A unique project was reportedly obtained by Boosie. And so Duke packed his $1 million Lewis bag and set off with the finest pieces of Purashi. That the business meeting might have been a secret ploy was unknown to him. It's time to get back to that dice game if the audio from WAC 100 is to be believed. It wasn't your typical gambling night, and this is coming from someone with a lot of street contacts. It was scheduled. There have been accusations that J. Prince Jr. is behind what some are calling a loaded dice operation. Now for the bit that will blow your head. There is no variation between the three names, Little Cam, Wolf, and Big Capri, like they've practiced. They shuffle those dice in a rhythm to perfect to miss. Intriguingly, House never loses unless someone breaks a loop and the entire plot unravels.
Man, Lord.
You supposed to be mad at this.
Man, back trouble.
Oh, you oh, good. That nigga gonna have $1,000 down there.
Obviously, someone made a mistake. The fact that wax is seeping implies that Duke was handed dice that weren't meant for him. Yes, they were tampered with. He started winning rapidly. He began with small amounts and eventually accumulated stacks of money, eventually reaching 5 figures. And when a system that is supposed to be strictly regulated is tampered with, individuals in authority get nervous. Numbers, let's talk. Roughly 30% of every dice session is allegedly kept by J. Prince Jr., according to sources. Therefore, Duke's decision to start raking it in wasn't just a case of bad timing. Someone was losing money because of it. Neither did Duke remain silent about it. He was intelligent, gregarious, and loud. He had his act together, throwing money like confetti and recording every flex on social media. It starts to get cold at this point. The video from that night will show Boosie whistling faintly when you freeze it, just enough to be heard. At that point, his nephew looks directly at Duke. This is followed by a man in a red sweater leaning in and tapping the nephew's arm as a silent alert. Suddenly, the whole mood shifts. Duke is bouncing up and down for a moment. After that, the air appears to have been drawn out, getting out of the room. That shift in energy is followed by Duke's disappearance a few minutes later. A feeling like that cannot be produced. This time there was no hesitation. It was an instinct because it's strange to walk into a room full of people who already know the ending of the story. If you still think this was simply another game night, Ask yourself why Boosie would show up with a visitor flashing $1 million drip around people, without even a hint of backup. Why didn't J. Prince Jr. lock in any kind of security when rolling solo with that much ice at the point when Duke departed the game supported absence of a ride-on standby, muscle, and entourage? Duke is seen pacing a dimly lit Houston parking lot by himself. After spending an evening with wealthy people, is it strange because of this? It is, however. Suspicion turns lethal at this point. A few seconds later, the sound of gunfire breaks. The calm, unfortunately, Duke is caught off guard and does not make it. Duke still had everything on him. Even though the money and diamonds usually vanish first in a convoluted crime or setup, the $1 million drip is therefore a necessary component of any purported heist. His performance at Boosie's concert featured those same icy pieces, hours before things took that awful turn.
Go through a hard time but never gave up. I stayed tough even when I got my chain stuck. Go through hard time but we know that what made us. Can't blame us, we love the script cause that what paid us. Yeah, ain't gonna ask, I know them niggas laid up. I call King like get the pressure going where I'm up. I can't even find you know how many nights I stayed up. Know how many fucking nights.
This is where the story takes a totally different turn. It was a Louis Vuitton bag that Duke was carrying. In agreement, the bag, his most precious, unpublished, carefully made piece was in that one, and it didn't just fade away into the night. In the house where Boosie lived, it surfaced, let it marinate. For some time, it's not a rumor, they confirmed it with the Houston Police Department. The question of whether Duke gave it to Boosie to keep safe throughout the game, or if Boosie got it in some other way after things went wrong is still unanswered. However, this is what cannot be disputed, that suitcase was brought back to Boosie's place. Duke didn't. As if Duke hadn't even occurred to him, Boosie's explanation. A tense Instagram lift from an airplane brushed everything aside. Just a random stranger that showed up, appropriate, ideal timing.
He was walking to his car or something, and some dude tried to rob him. Some dude tried to rob him. See, some dudes had tried to rob me and walked off by himself, man. I had just met dude yesterday. They try to rob dude, man. Dude must ain't get up.
Folks with flight check. We're to the departure. Flight attendants, please bear the camera.
Just met dude.
Boosie mentioned that Duke was supposed to create him a special piece. Despite barely knowing him, you invited him to an exclusive dice game and then allowed him to depart alone to his car, showing a remarkable level of shine. That story is flawed in more ways than one, indeed. But Boosie didn't end.
He was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in the garage. We heard this, but it like they was far away in the parking lot. He must have went to his car or something. Dude was finna make a piece of him too. Damn.
He wasn't exactly providing benign energy. It was hard to look past the pale face and frantic mood. If you think that was the height of the drama, then buckle up, the situation only gets worse. Duke's case was isolated into a separate federal investigation by the authorities, who were already looking into Boosie for a different set of questionable conduct. Avoid waiting around, going through the back of the line, discovering the real story of Duke's fate is one goal. Of course, they followed the digital breadcrumbs. Duke's last phone call, this is Boosie's workstation. The phone, unless it got legs somehow, was taken there by someone in Boo's group, so much worse. No one tried to hide it. After the ping, it simply shut off, as though someone intended it to disappear without any harm or removal. That infuriated the federal authorities. After that, Duke's rental was torn to pieces. In forensics, fingerprints from Boosie's cousin and nephew were recovered. Just when you thought Maxwell Mayhem was here, you're surprised. Another bystander outside the puffin reported to have seen Duke walking by himself to his driving car before. It wasn't. Everything seemed to be silent. It seemed as though Boosie's nephew had been waiting for the ideal opportunity to show up. The change in atmosphere must have been sensed by Duke, who reportedly threw the first hit, made an attempt to compete, but that shot was allegedly fired by Boo's nephew. And with one quick movement, the situation had already changed. Even worse is yet to come. no attempt was made to disguise it as a robbery. And why? Considering that there was no money involved, it was an issue. He was silenced. And instead of discarding the bag, they kept it. It goes beyond being irresponsible. It's brave. Who do you believe took that risky action? The 50 Cent. Has it ever occurred to you that when superstars arrive in Houston, there's generally that unspoken warning? Checking in is a must, though it's never documented. It's known. The message reaches artists, influencers, and ballers alike. You are in grave danger. If you go into Houston without telling Jay Prince Jr. and the Mob Ties crew who you are. That being said, no one wants to admit this messy part. Could it be that the team you are told to check in with is also the one pulling strings? Remember when Prince Jr. held a dice game and Duke rolled up? The same configuration from the night. Takeoff killed him. Additionally, after Duke vanished, the entire check-in atmosphere shifted from one of safety to side-eyes because, as Jay Prince Jr. claims, it would be odd if two guests were leaving caskets in Houston. It had to be heard. Whack 100.
Entertainer invites him in. Act like he's covering for him, hanging out, everything is cool. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go there. He introduces the dice game. He got three right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators. Right? He said, what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting all them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right? Boom. The only way they could get their money back was however money back. He said, but Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice are the three designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they pass the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting.
Hearing that Jay Prince Jr. lures musicians with a phony, comfortable vibe, calms them down, and then engages them in dice games with strangers. He called the whole thing a setup.
To all the entertainers, you know, Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows, right? I don't know if y'all watched that. I was thinking about Daisy Dukes for a reason. I don't know why I said that. You know, one might go with it, may not go with it, but I don't know. The math is math and let it math. But entertainers, beware. Oh, with Jay Prince Jr., when he talked about let's go shoot some dice. Because the loaded dice crew is three, Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice. We know Lil Cam in there because I believe somehow, some way, he was caught up in the dice situation. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know this, Jay Prince Jr. got a whole thing that when y'all come into town, hold on, bro. Didn't they say Fifth Ward earlier that day shooting dice?
Yep, that's a fact. That word been out, Wack. That word been out. We been out that memo.
And then, so they've been getting hit all day, and it got to the point at the thing, Quavo like, that into dice. That's what this nigga Jay Prince Jr., boy, these niggas got all kind of shit going on down there. They say, he said the jeweler nigga got past the dice. He didn't even know the motherfuckers was loaded. He just think he hit. These niggas is mad as a motherfucker. Cause they like, nigga, how you pass this nigga the loaded dice? Oh no.
The rumors are circulating. A couple of famous people are quietly backing off. Record companies are canceling shows in Houston. The tension in the air is rising. 50 Cent has been openly criticizing videos and providing unrestrained subtitles, which has caused the entire game to catch fire. Others say he's playing with fire. People assume he's the only one brave enough to say what everyone else is thinking. However, insiders claim that Boosie's this time, there is no way out. And he is tearing up because he feels like the feds are breathing down his neck. They kept Boosie's previous gun issue apart from this case, concentrating only on the night Duke was killed. Right now, they're looking at everything, even his son's internet trace, his homes, and his bank transactions. However, the The real drama might be coming from within his inner group. Rumor has it that Boosie's girlfriend claimed to have told someone that he went back inside that night and looked like probably hiding something. Nevertheless, Boosie continues to act as if he is incompetent and perform as if he is deserving of a prize. Furthermore, he keeps twisting the same statement as though we haven't heard it 100 times already. People are now whispering about the real teeth. Boosie false, and who's he bringing? Let's be honest, Boosie isn't a solo act. There's his nephew in the middle of the mayhem. The name of his cousin is hidden in the middle of all of this. He also has connections to J. Prince Jr., who formerly came under fire after Takeoff's unfortunate exit. I feel like everything is a mess. Moreover, it seems that every thread returns to the same circle. It gets hotter, though. So wait, finesse double now. The same artist who formerly supported Hardy's is out here openly criticizing him. Mob ties. In his name, he removed J. Prince Jr. to barely mention his name throughout every sit-down meeting. Something clearly busted. The shift had been imperceptible at first. Junior's grace had vanished. None of the collaborative performances or behind-the-scenes pictures. Then the muttering grew loud. Apparently, a woman caused everything to fall apart. But it wasn't any woman. The child's mother is Finesse, one due to a probation issue. She and her own mother are accused of arranging for him to get into trouble again, involving the police and setting him up. Do you know who did the cleaning for you? Obviously, J. Prince Sr. in 2 weeks. Following a few phone conversations and some behind-the-scenes networking, Finesse was back out. But did he have loyalty? Not really. Immediately, Finesse came back to her. It was then that the senior tapped out. He made it clear on Twitter. Nothing to sugarcoat. I told the buddy who really loves his life to stay away from that girl. The friend and I had to step in to get him out of jail. But he would not listen to me. If these women seem to be interested in your welfare, you should be wary. This is where the drama shifts from awkward to absolutely combustible. J. Prince Jr. Finesse's girl is rumored to have been the victim of creeping. Rumor has it that he even obtained her a pregnancy. Exists any proof? Not really. But the fact that individuals are even doing it gracefully hasn't lessened it. That makes a big statement. Everything was rejected as sloppy hearsay by some fans, while others started to piece everything together. The Takeoff crew and Junior have been at odds. He's getting a quiet static with Boosie, and now Finesse is eroding in front of everybody. Many are curious about the number of silent battles you can start before your entire kingdom collapses. Let us tell the truth. If the core of your brand is intimidation, control, and behind-the-scenes chess plays, it only takes one mistake. All of it vanishes after one artist, one betrayal, or one leak. The eyes of everyone are now sealed. Who's going to say it first, Boosie? Will J. Prince Jr. make up the whole story to save himself because 50 Cent is obsessed with underground drama? Or will sophistication expose the truth? Regardless, it's coming up fast. Those soft murmurs are also turning into echoes of door-knocking footsteps. Federal detectives are looking closely at Boosie's behind-the-scenes riches concealments. The Baton filming is underway on the Full Rouge estate and his Georgia holdings. Each coin is being monitored. Consequently, this is no longer only speculation. Boosie is in the hot seat officially. Furthermore, J. Prince Jr. was the star of the show. They're pulling out. We are moving away from labels. This isn't just a minor music disagreement. Rico's enthusiasm is clear in this, and it will only take one leak from TMZ or the feds to demonstrate that the shooter Duke claimed was indeed caught on camera.